All right, so you will have the exact same transformation as me in half the time or even less if you would just understand this one key concept that took me 2.5 years to realize before I actually started making good, noticeable progress that changed my life, right? And the thing that I'm talking about is momentum. Momentum, once you understand the concept of momentum and how it plays a role in how things change in your life, your entire life will change. And that's a guarantee from me to you, right? So let me explain. I'm going to use an example or an analogy, right? That's very popular, but maybe you haven't looked at it in this light, right? Let's think about the New Year's gym goers, right? So near the end of the year, you notice if you go to the gym that the gyms are not as packed, right? But the moment January 1st hits, right? January 1st, that first month, even a little bit trailing into the second month, packed. It doesn't matter if that gym was like empty. January and February, those gyms are making bread. I guarantee you, bro. They're making bank, right? Hold on, let me call this car real quick. They're making bank, right? Okay. And as the months go on, you notice they start to drop off in the amount of people that are coming to the gym. Maybe someone that you've seen at the gym in January that you like made connection with. They're not coming as much in February. You don't see them as much at your usual time, right? So what those people that aren't consistent in the gym, in this example, we're using the gym, right? But this applies to everything. Is that they didn't understand the concept of momentum, right? So naturally, when you first start going to the gym, it's not going to be exactly super fun or like a wonderful experience. You know, you might be awkward. Oh, wow. This is like the 5th time this has happened. I'm not editing this out. My fault, bro. I'm going to get a tripod though. I promise. I'll get a tripod. We good? All right, there we go. This should be good. If it falls again, it's whatever. Okay. So when you first start going to the gym, you might be self-conscious, you know? You might not have the perfect body. You might be insecure about yourself. Am I dressing right? You know, or your weights might be super light. The guy next to you is a friggin' big, muscular, Sam Sulek looking dude, curling the 50s, and you're over here chest pressing half of that, and you're just feeling like awful about yourself. Or maybe you're on the squat rack and the guy next to you is benching the same weight that you've got doing on squats. And it's like, so it's not necessarily a fun experience for the first, I'd say, month of going to the gym. And people look at that and they don't realize that once you start building the momentum of getting into the habit of getting into the gym, you overcome the initial discomfort phase, which is the hardest part. That's what actually kind of deters people from getting into anything, whether it be business, the gym, social skills, all of it. It's the initial phase that's the hardest. And once you get over that, once you overcome that, it really just becomes fun. Like right now, I've been going to the gym for like 2 years, right? And the first month was not that fun. After that, you start to see the progress. You start to see the weights going up. Your body changes a little bit. You're like, oh my God, this is actually mad fun. So you just keep going and you start building that momentum. And once you build that momentum, it's so much easier to keep going. It's just that initial discomfort of forcing yourself to go to the gym for the first month. And people can't see past that. And they're like, oh my God, am I gonna have to do this for the rest of my life? No, you won't have to do this for the rest of your life because it's a new habit. As with any new habit, you're not gonna feel amazing the first time you do it. It takes a little bit to adjust. But once you adjust, that becomes your new life, and it's a wonderful life to live. I just remember this saying that kind of is really in line with the topic that we're talking about, this momentum, right? People would prefer a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. And this is actually, I'm not gonna lie, one of the best sayings I ever heard in my life, right? You would prefer, I preferred the familiar hell of playing video games for 8 hours a day with my friends and then turning off the monitor and wondering what the hell I'm doing with my life. I would prefer that because it would help me escape from my problems, or my real life problems. So I would prefer that over the unfamiliar heaven of going to the gym and pushing myself until my eyes were bloodshot on a set of like bicep curls or something. And then in a couple months' time, seeing my physique change in real time in front of my own eyes. I would prefer to stay in my diluted version, my familiar hell, than the unfamiliar heaven. And it's the same for some people. People would rather stay in the familiar hell of being lonely and single than take on the unfamiliar heaven and get through the initial discomfort of going and talking to new people and talking to girls, talking to people. So people would prefer an unfamiliar hell, or unfamiliar, they would prefer a familiar heaven, a familiar hell, God, goodness gracious. They would prefer a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. And I want you to keep that in mind. So what I'd recommend for you is to go on a detox. Because what I did when I started going into the gym, I noticed that if I had something more fun to be doing than going to the gym, I would automatically not want to go to the gym. For example, my homeboy's calling me, yo, hop on Fortnite. New season just came out. And it's 5:30. I'm supposed to be going to the gym, but this new season of Fortnite. I'm like, you know what? Like, gym's not all that anyway. I haven't seen any progress anyway. Let me just hop on Fort. So I hopped on Fort. A week later, I'm hopping on Fort every day with my friends after school and skipping the gym 3-4 days in a row. You guess what happened? I fell off the gym. I stopped being consistent. A couple months later, I get that motivation. Oh my God, I see myself in the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, I hate myself. I'm gonna go and fix this. Same thing. There's something that will like creep into your life that will sort of try and throw you off of that. So I would recommend just detox. So what I did, I eventually got sick of that cycle. I took the cables to my PC. I gave them to my mom and I said, don't give these back to me for 2 months. Because that was the thorn in my side. It's the video games. That's sort of what stopped me from going to the gym a lot of times. So I told my mom, take those, keep them with you, give them back to me in 2 months. First week was hell. I'm not gonna hold you. I was sitting there staring at the wall in my free time. But I have nothing to do now. So I might as well go to the gym. So I went to the gym. And guess what? I really, really loved the gym because now my baseline of dopamine isn't this hyper stimulating Fortnite, right? I'm over here, like I'm bored out of my mind at home because I have nothing to do. I go to the gym, I get this sort of stimulation of like hitting a new PR or hitting a new amount of reps or just going ham on bicep curls or whatever it is. And I feel like the man. So I loved going to the gym. 2 months later, first of all, I wasn't even getting any urges to play video games. And I was really in love with the gym because that was the most fun thing I had going for me in my life. So I would recommend cutting out those instant gratification bad habits. I understand it's going to be hard going cold turkey, but I'm an extreme person. And I understand, if I'm understanding this, you are kind of an extreme person as well, because I never understood how people could like, if you're playing video games all day, you can't taper it out. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I'll just play 2 hours today. I know damn well if I said I'm going to play 2 hours today, I'm probably going to play double that or more. So I just had to cut it out completely, and kind of the initial pain was worse, but it was for a shorter period of time before I kind of got over it. And so then I started to enjoy other habits in my life, and I didn't want to go back. But another thing that I'm going to warn you about is at some point you might fall back into the bad habits. And I fell victim to that as well. So I really fell in love with the gym. I was sticking to it. I was doing really good. And then I think another new season came out or something like that, and I hopped back on the game. After the 2 months were up, by the way, my mom gave me back the cables, but I just told her to keep them for another month because I really didn't want them, and my life was so much better. But at some point I took them, I played the video game, and I got this feeling that all the progress that I had just built was completely gone out the window. Let me explain something to you about momentum. Say you're running on a track, right? You're running on a track, and a pebble is in front of your path, and you trip on it, and you kind of like stumble, and you keep running. You keep running. If you're in a race and you're running your heart out and you trip on a pebble, are you just gonna sit there and roll and just sit there and be like, oh man, it's over? Or you're gonna recognize, okay, I stumbled, but I can still keep running, gain your footing back, and get that momentum going again. You don't lose all your progress or all your momentum because of one little pebble. But that's something that a lot of people fall victim to as well. You miss a day at the gym, you're like, oh, I might as well just not go this week. Or you miss your macros, you don't eat enough protein today. Whatever, I might as well just binge eat and go get pizza. So just be careful for that. Do a dopamine detox and get in the mentality of I'm gonna start to love this really soon, and you really, really will. I promise you. The enjoyment kind of comes with the comfortability of when you get used to going to the gym, or when it becomes part of your routine. It's not such a hassle to go, because you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. What am I hitting today? It doesn't become part of your mental process to be like, oh, let me just skip today. After a while, it just becomes like oh man, I'm hitting legs today, man. You know, like, that's whatever. Oh, you know what? Let me hit back. Or I don't do that. I'm not gonna lie, but like you get the idea. Once the momentum gets going, everything else is much easier. So let me tell you exactly what you need to do to get that momentum going. First of all, you need to realize that the initial phase is gonna suck. It's gonna suck, and the only thing you can do to kind of get over that or make it more enjoyable for yourself is to find ways to make it more palatable for you. And for example, me, when I started going to the gym, I made it a competition with my best friend to see who could bench more at the end of the month. And so that way, you would not catch me slacking a single day that first month, no matter how much I hated or didn't want to go to the gym, or I hated the feeling of the effort. You kind of fall in, that's another thing actually, let me talk about that a little bit. You kind of fall in love with the hard work of whatever it is, whether it be trying to improve your social skills. You kind of fall in love with the adrenaline of right before you go and talk to a new person. Or if it's in the gym, you kind of like fall in love with the little gut feeling you get right before you hit your next nasty set of squats, right? It becomes something you look forward to rather than you dread. You get used to the feeling, you start to enjoy the feeling. But that's something that's an acquired taste. So that's why you got to stay consistent and go and endure it. So what was I talking about before? You need to find a way to make it palatable for you. For example, if you want to be going to the gym, go to the gym with a friend. You guys will have so much more fun together. And then that initial discomfort phase, it will be shortened because you're going there with your boy. You're making it into a competition. It's fun. Or if you want to get better at social interactions or talking to girls, have your group of boys with you and be like, yo, I'm gonna go talk to this girl. Or like $10 says I won't get her number. $10 says I won't get her number. Then you make it into some sort of hype competition, and it becomes a little bit more enjoyable versus when you're by yourself with your AirPods in trying to hype yourself up and there's nobody around you. That girl is over there on her phone scrolling, or she has her headphones in. You just walk up, you tap her. It's not gonna be as enjoyable. So you might as well make it enjoyable during the initial phase of discomfort. And this is something that took me a long time to realize, and I was on and off the gym, on and off self-improvement, on and off a lot of things because I didn't understand the principle of like momentum and sort of getting into a routine, a habit of doing things. And it's kind of the thing that throws everybody off of the major goals is I don't know if you've ever like wanted to start doing something, you started doing it and you were doing well, and then it kind of drops off after a week or 2 weeks, and that's sort of a universal experience for everybody, because they don't understand that the other side of what they're striving towards. Because right now you might be hating going to the gym. I guarantee you in a month, or not, I won't say hating, but you might like be kind of like dreading it because like, you know, it's painful, whatever. In a month, you'll realize that you kind of look forward to going to the gym, because you realize when you're in the gym, your mind kind of shuts off. You had worries. Now you're only thinking about the weight in front of you. How do I lift this weight? I gotta get this weight. You get hype. Or you have troubles, maybe an argument with your parents, or a falling out with one of your friends. You go to the gym, all those thoughts are silenced. So you start to discover things you love about the hard work, and something that video games or some other bad habit can't necessarily do for you, or maybe does for you, but then once you're done with that bad habit, it comes back even worse. When you're out of the gym, you have a clear mind. When you've just finished 2 hours of studying and you feel like an absolute academic machine, you're not going to feel terrible about what happened earlier. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I would say to my younger self, that was trying to fix his life but just couldn't find a way to stick to anything, is that you sort of have to push past that initial week or two of discomfort, because that's how long it takes for you to adjust into that new habit, and then you'll start to find ways to enjoy it, and that's a guarantee. You will start to find ways to enjoy it. I believe in you. You got it.